Aaron Pinowski,
Hi,
I hope I
Aaron.
pronounced that right,
What's up,
says,
Aaron?
do you think Nintendo will abandon their mobile systems and just make their mobile games on mobile devices?
Too soon to say because Miitomo is not a smashing profit success.
No.
I think a decision like that takes more time. I mean, clearly the smartphone market, the tablet market has eaten out of the dedicated gaming handheld space. So much so, in fact, that traditional publishers who you'd see spitting out DS games left and right or PSP games left and right just abandoned ship and said, hey, we're going to focus on mobile because the install base is so big.
Totally.
I think, though, Nintendo has proven that they can carry a device should they choose to. The question remaining, though, is NX both or not? That's a big question that needs to get answered before something like this. I think it's
both. I think it's it's a very different time now from when the DS or the Game Boy even launched, right? Like, for a couple of years, we've said yes, there's still a handheld market. You know, it's big enough for Sony in Japan. Like they can still make some money with the Vita, but globally, there's not demand for this more powerful standalone device. The 3DS, though, still appealed to kids, right? There was a huge kids market, and a few years ago we said, well, we're not going to give, as parents, right? We're not going to give our $600 iPhone to our kids. They're going to like drool on them and drop them. That's changed.
Yeah.
We're all onto our third or fourth or fifth iPhone.
They keep dropping them.
And the kids get them. And
Yeah.
so like
And
kids
that,
are
yeah.
playing so many games on iPad and iPhone, and of course on Android devices, and the App Store strategies are a parent can buy a game, share it easily with anyone in the family, and it becomes a very, very cheap actually way to feed your kids games, right?
Yeah.
Whereas on 3DS, you're still talking about that $20 to $40 price points, limitations, having to have multiple devices that you can't just hand me.
Well, that's the thing. Every time you get a 3DS,
I think it's over.
It's
I
this
think
ghost
it's
in the
over.
shell thing where it's got to move the entire soul of it to the new one.
Yeah.
So like I was looking at a 2DS like 2 years ago, and I'm like, that'd be cool to just play some Smash Brothers on. And I'm like, I can't actually buy that without it retaining all my account information and moving everything over at once.
Yeah.
But I think it's
That they could fix though.
yeah, it's a very interesting question because it's like right now they're selling Animal Crossing on 3DS for $40. They're selling Fire Emblem for $40 or $39.99. On mobile, you can't sell a game for $39.99. You just can't. People look at it
Some
like
have tried, like Square, yeah.
yeah. I mean, Square sells games for $20, $17.99.
Those work, though.
And they work.
Yeah.
And they are mobile. They are mobilized versions of their classic games. I saw Dragon Quest the other day was on sale. It's a thing you can do. It's just not common. And to sell something for $40 is pretty much unheard of on the mobile store.
But I think standalone mobile handheld devices are on the way out. Honestly, like I love my 3DS. I think the DS is one of the best machines ever made in the
I also
history of
think
gaming.
that the Vita is one of the best
And-
like handhelds I have put my
Yeah.
hands on. An OLED screen,
Yeah.
like really
No,
good,
it was a
like
good machine.
feel, like
But
everything
this,
about it.
But this kind of bastion of, well, you need these handheld devices because you can't pull off the same things exactly on phones. Like controls aside now, it's kind of like a lot of consumers have said, I don't want to play console-like experiences on my handheld, on a standalone and buy this for it. And then a lot of kids have just moved on and they're not asking for these devices anymore because now they even get in Pokemon and games like that
but
on
they're
mobile
still
devices,
playing
right?
very deep games. Like even Minecraft on mobile is huge,
Yeah.
and that is not a simple game.
No,
by
that's
any
what I'm
stretch
saying.
of the
I think
imagination.
mobile
Yeah.
will fill the gap, but unfortunately that's bad news for anyone who's making dedicated handheld devices.
Sure.
Kyle, what else you got?
I got a good one from Jonathan Sample. He said, how do you see Amiibo transforming with the move to a new system and the mobile platforms?
So he says,
That's a
how
good
do you
one.
see Amiibo transforming to the new system and mobile platforms?
So mobile is the question mark because I don't think Nintendo is going to open up, even though like your iPhone, if you have like an iPhone 6 or an iPhone 6S, you have the ability to read NFC on this device. Like that's how Apple Pay works.
Totally.
But it is not an open platform. In fact, it is closed from every other part of the phone.
And that's an Apple decision.
Yeah, that's an Apple decision. On Google, it's a little more open, but still, the question mark is, for Nintendo, they would probably see the value of Amiibo if the market continues to sell, which so far it's been fine for them, but people are on the tippy toe of saying this whole Toys to Life market is crowded, it's tired, it's going to move on and
Sure.
it's fad.
There will be casualties. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so many devices between Lego, Disney, Skylanders, Nintendo. There are a lot of toys on the market, and that whenever that happens, the market is going to contract. Something is going to be left on the by the side of the road. With Nintendo has brought out most of their big characters with the Smash Brothers line. So now I don't think the Animal Crossing ones are selling, and so that's now the big question: what the future is of Amiibo. Like I do think they'll keep it around and they'll keep bringing it back. I don't think they'll
Well, your
have a
existing
mobile.
ones will work.
Yeah, and I don't think they'll have a mobile strategy, but I think the NX is going to support these in some way. I think they
100%.
will keep that story alive. And like from what we've heard about NX, that Nintendo is thinking about even taking some existing Wii U games and extending their life on the NX. It does feel like they're really careful to bridge the experience, you know, not fall into the same trap that some of the other console makers have made, where you didn't get backward compatibility at launch, and then, you know, when they brought it back, there was this huge cheer and people bought, you know, games up the wazoo.
Yeah, and I don't think they figured out Amiibo on their own platform right now. Like, I do feel like, and they've admitted
still
this,
scattered, yeah.
it is still a scattered attempt. It is a lot of folks buying it for the nostalgia value, or for
the
like,
figures,
hey,
yeah.
this is a cool figure and they're well made, and like some of them have incredible detail. But I feel like in terms of what they give you, it's been scattershot. It's been all over the place. And I do believe that they will transition that to NX.
Yeah.
Like, Amiibo will be part of that experience. But I hope by then Nintendo finds a way to provide better value with those.
Like
with
the
those
Amiibo
figures.
game, right? Like
Yeah.
something that is, you like Skylanders, where it is meaningful that you have this figure because it becomes a gameplay feature.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
just a dongle to unlock something cool.
Yeah.
All right. Kyle.
I got a good one from.
we go.
It's a hot topic, so I figured I'd get this question out there. From Michael Hightower, it said,
Hi, Michael.
Michael Hightower.
"Yeah, when Nintendo releases their smartphone games, do you think they will incorporate microtransactions?"
100%.
Yeah.
They already did with Mitomo. In fact, they were not shy to have a tier of pricing that was, I think it was like an $80
Yeah, always.
microtransaction for
the-
Mitomo coins.
It's the whales, right? Like
Yeah.
they're appealing to someone who doesn't think twice about spending $100, and you know, you can make money that way. Like some of the biggest games are funded on the backs of what they, you know, horribly call whales.
I was-
Oh, sorry.
No, I was going to say, a couple of years ago, I was talking to some of the people who worked on Infinity Blade, and I remember Infinity Blade had these different microtransactions they added, and one of them was that gold bag. It was just puffy and gigantic, and it was like $100. And I was like, do people actually buy this? And they were
they're
like,
like, "Oh, yeah."
enough people buy it that justifies it being there.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's not our entire business, but every now and then somebody comes in, they go, you know what, I could either go every 3 days and give them $2 or $3, or I could just give them 100 right now, flat out, and then
Yeah, and
you know.
it seems like a deal. So microtransactions, remember, are already in the latest Fire Emblem game. So
Yeah.
if you played Fates, you can download new levels and new challenges, and they actually help you level up your characters or get gold or whatever, right? Like, so they have experimented with microtransactions so much now on the 3DS, which, think of the barrier. You have to be connected to the internet. You have to be at home or in a Wi-Fi hotspot. You don't have that issue with phones, so they're going to be all over this.
Well, and to their credit, it is not a microtransaction that, in a way, so far, with maybe the exception being Steel Diver Sub Wars, but in terms of that, you are
about
not. It is not a pay to win.
Yes.
It is not. There is a gameplay hook in place in most scenarios. Mitomo being the one exception, actually, because Mitomo Drop to me is not that. But most of their games have a compelling hook that stands on its own, and as long as they maintain that line, I think they'll be fine.
Yeah, a lot of microtransactions come down to that sort of gambling aspect, and I think Mitomo's the closest they've ever come, especially because it's like literally a slot machine.
It's a chance.
It's
Yeah,
a
it's
pachinko
pachinko.
thing, right?
Yeah.
So you put in money and you hope that your character bounces off the walls and lands on the cool ninja sword, but if he or she doesn't, you put in more money.
I want the ninja sword.
So you need that ninja sword.
I have
I was
it.
talking to somebody who spent $17 on the first day just to get all the the cat sweater stuff, and I'm like, really? This is your thing? This is you're $17 on this? You can buy a real cat sweater
If
for
they put a Run
$17.
DMC collection, you will absolutely spend
All
money.
over it. All in a
you
What
heartbeat.
about a
will be all over it.
mermaid jacket?
I don't. This is not a mermaid
It
jacket.
is, like, it's all like shiny like a mermaid's tail.
What? Oh, like those real mermaids that we see all the time,
Yeah.
just like those.
Clearly.